Good afternoon, and welcome to the Alonzo Show. I'm your host, Alonzo. This week's show, It's Your Money and Sports Express will not be airing this week due to the fact that there's going to be an observance of Father's Day this week. Across the United States and all over the world, millions upon millions of fathers will be celebrating Father's Day. No, I don't mean the dads who are baby dad, I might add, who's not in their kids' life, who don't take care of them, who don't acknowledge them, who see them every once in a while, or have the state or some other individual who comes in to take their place in that child's life. No, I mean the fathers who are in their kids' life every day, whether that's physically, financially, educationally, and nurturing, to make sure that they grow a child out to be one of the best citizens that they can be and a strong individual in their own rights. But there's something missing in this equation. Some element is missing in this equation. In that equation, this is an individual who carries a heavy burden and carries a load that someone else should but doesn't carry, which often gives them a small reward and sometimes little recognition for it. And those people I like to consist of is stepfathers. So my spotlight today is going to be on stepfathers. You know, when you're a stepfather, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Few individuals can have the resolve to be able to deal with some of the unnecessary issues that come with it. Now, if that kid's father isn't in his life, then it can be more rewarding, more hands-on, have a bigger, more profound impact on that child's life. Now, if you have a father in that kid's life and he's being responsible financially and educationally and generally working together with that stepfather, it can be great on both ends for that child. But when you have a father who's not taking care of the child, or ignoring the child, or they're not going to do anything for the child, but when you're disciplining the child, or you're raising this child up the right way, then all of a sudden they want to be involved. And sometimes the mother, you can be responsible for that too, because sometimes you have parents who will sit there and use kids as a pawn, as a negotiating gauge. When you have a father who don't even really want to see the child, but he'll use that child as his gauge to get back at the woman, or the woman who don't really want to take care of the child, and all she want to do is suck the life financially out of another guy and take that money and spend it on herself instead of her child. There's plenty of ratchet women who do that every single day, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself, and it's disgusting. If that money is for that child, you take care of that child. That's what it's for. Now, you might want to know, why am I speaking on this? You know why? Because I'm a stepfather. I've had the opportunity to be in a rewarding situation where I've watched a young man grow and teach him the right ways of the world so he can become a better young man in the world, where he can raise kids and raise them responsibly. But there's also been a downside of it, you know, where you have an individual who decide at that moment when they're frustrated to inform you that you're not their father, you know. Now, I'll say for any stepfather who's a real father figure in that role, it's one of the biggest kick in the face that you can ever receive. Because everything you've done, everything you've sacrificed for, it comes back flying in the face of you. It's almost like a big swift kick. It comes back and fly in your face. And some people get really angry and frustrated, or they'll just cut that kid off permanently. Now, I wasn't like that, but it was frustrating. But unfortunately, you have to navigate those waters. Now, where you navigate those is where the mother of the child comes in. She has to be a teammate of yours to inform that child that they can't take that unnecessary road and do things of that nature. Because you have kids who, they don't understand the whole scope of it. They don't understand it at that moment. But they'll only understand it when you're in a situation of that nature, where you go out and you meet a young lady who has a ready-made family. There's a lot of guys who don't want to deal with women who have ready-made families. You have a lot of women who sit and say, well, you know, you got to accept my child as he is. You got to accept him. It's a package deal. Well, no, you can't force them on them. What you have to do is you have to come to an understanding with that father when he's coming in that child's life. But that child has to also respect that gentleman who's stepping into the stepfather's role. It can't be a one-way street. But you also have a lot of men who, they'll see you coming. Don't let them see you coming. They'll sit there and sleep with you all day long. You know why? Because they clearly see if you have 3 or 4 kids. Okay, sleeping with her, it ain't like she's a virgin. And they'll sleep with you until they can't sleep with you no more, then they'll move on. But when it comes time to them being responsible and taking your kids at their own, that's a problem. And it's also a problem when you have a stepfather who take a bigger role or take a bigger punch when it comes to finances or all these other different things. Now, she'll be harder on you and heavy-handed with you, but not with the same father who sit and gave her birth, who sit and got her impregnated, but she's not going after him with the same vigor or the same feverish pitch. And that's unfortunate and unfair to that father, to that stepfather. Now, I deal with a gentleman who happens to be my stepson's, who I call my son. I never call him a stepson in general, but on this show I have to state who he is so you'll get a better understanding of the situation. You understand the gravity of it. Now, this young man, he's never been in trouble. He's never been in trouble with the law. He's never drunk. He's never used drugs or drank. He's an honor roll student. Now, if I'm a man and you've done that with my son, I'm a man enough that I can call you and say, you know what, thank you. And I'm going to thank that mother. You know what, because that mother could have you around men who might rape your child or molest them. Treat them like second class because they're not their kids. Be more heavy-handed with them. Or be on drugs and drinking. So you have to thank that mother too when she takes it upon herself to go out there and carefully pick the men that's going to be in her child's life, who's going to be around him, who's going to be in his circle, his or her circle, where they're going to have a profound impact on them. Now, there's plenty of women who sit and say, okay, sure, I'll be more than happy to see you. Now, you can come after my child is going to sleep, but you won't be here when he or she wakes up, because I'm not going to allow them to see that. That's a wonderful mother. Now, you have those mothers who allow men to be up in the bed with them, men or women be in bed with them, and the kids see that. That's disgusting. And it's selfish, and it's self-centered, because you're thinking about yourself and not the impact you're having on that child. So, there's some people who are going to disagree with that, but you know what? Most of those people are the one who's engaging in that treacherous, ratchet activity. Now, as I said and stated, if I'm a real man by myself, I'm going to call you as a man, thank you, and say, hey, I appreciate what you've done with my son. We might not agree with everything with each other, but I agree with what you've done with my son, and I appreciate it. Now, I've never gotten that, but it takes a real man to do that, though. So you can't, sometimes your expectation of other people can't be as high as what you have expectations, because everybody ain't a real man about themselves. I'm a real man about myself because the moment I took my lady into my life, her son became part of that as well. It wasn't a stepson. He was my son. He'll be my son then, today, and next week, and forever. Even no matter what happens. So, stepfathers around the world, mothers, you need to go and let these stepfathers know, hey, I appreciate what you've done for me. Because you've taken a role that my baby's father hasn't. I don't care what color you are. Okay, this ain't a black and white thing. This is a man thing. And this is a time for people around the world to go to your stepfather. He's taking care of you, and he's looking out for you, and he loves you unconditionally. Show him that back. When Father's Day come around, it takes nothing for you to get him a card or a present, or even acknowledge his presence. Because me, myself, I don't expect a gift. That's not important to me. Acknowledgement to me carries so much more weight than any little trinket or gift that you can give me. You know why? Because it says, I recognize what you brought to the table to me. The mother has recognized that. And anyone that's surrounded, but most of the time, for some reason or other, stepfather, they're very rarely rewarded, but they'll take the brunt of it, and you usually have to accept second-class citizenship, that you don't have much of any power in the situation when you're dealing with mothers and fathers who sitting there fighting amongst themselves. You know, there's some, and there's a few. It's a few, but it's not in big proportion, because most men, whenever another man comes into his ex's life, there's a strain there where he's trying to prove something where I don't want her, but I don't want nobody else to have her. I don't want her to be happy, so I'm going to do whatever I can to be miserable. So when that stepfather steps in, he has to kind of step in the role of whatever war that's going on between them two. So he becomes a second-class citizen, even though he's trying to hold up the other end of the stick. And there's fathers, if you financially can take care of your kid, take care of your kids. Because you have young men who sit in and state, well, oh, I'm too young to be a father. But you weren't too young to play house. You was young, you was old enough to sit and have sex with her. Why can't you be old enough, mature enough to put a condom on? If you don't want any kids, don't play the game. You have kids, take care of them. Because they didn't ask to come here. They didn't ask to come in this world, you brought them in now. You take care of them. That's your responsibility. For the men who don't take care of your kids and you have the audacity to know where they're at and you refuse to take care of them, I hope God have mercy on your soul. But the devil will be lurking, because you don't bring kids in the world and don't take care of them. There's nothing more important in my life than my kids. Every day I wake up and every day I go lay down, those kids are my most and foremost important thoughts. And you should have the same thing too. And stepfathers, if you have kids that you're dealing with another woman, you treat them as you would treat your own child. You don't treat them second-hand class, or I'm going to be mean to them, I'm going to try my best to be abusive to them, or I'm going to take liberties with someone else's daughter or son for that nature. That's ratchet and disgusting of you. You step in that role as a nurturing individual, to take care of them, to love them, and if you're fortunate like I was to have a child of your own, it's even more beautiful. It broadens your horizon on planes you've never seen before. I never thought that I would feel the way I feel when it comes to kids until I had my own. I don't know how it's not embedded in men when they have kids, but some men, it's not in them. It's not even in some women, that they'll sit there and pawn their kids off to other people so they can take care of them, taking care of themselves. I don't do that. There's nothing more important than taking care of my kids. So this Father's Day, you tell the fathers who's out there, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done. But you also acknowledge those stepfathers, those forgotten soldiers who's in the fight with you. And men, be a man and go to that man and tell him thank you. You don't have to like each other and love each other, but you can respect that man enough that you say, you know what, you did a great job and I appreciate it. And if he hadn't done a good job, then disregard that message. But if he has, please be a man and go to him, everyone, and tell them Happy Father's Day. Not Happy Stepfather's Day, Happy Stepdad Day. Happy Father's Day, because you've earned it. I'm Alonzo, and I look forward to talking to you next week at 1 o'clock with all 3 shows. Please be tuned in next for my moment of reflection. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.